Please rise, ladies and gentlemen. The 16th Sangguniang Panlalawigan is now convened for its 56th regular session. The Honorable Board Member Antonio L. Mangkukang III, presiding.
The 56th regular session of the Honorable Sangguniang Panlalawigan of Marinduque will now please come to order. May I call on Honorable Berseri Hano for an invocation.
Sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, at ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. O aming Diyos, banal at makapangyarihan sa lahat, kami po ay nagbabalik sa iyo ng pagpapuri at pagpasalamat. Panginoon naming Diyos, patnubayan mo po kami sa araw na ito. Patuloy mo kaming gabayan upang lahat ng aming tungkulin sa aming magampanan ng may kahusayan. Tulungan mo po kami sa mga pagpapasya na aming gagawain. Pagpalain mo po ang aming sesyon ngayong hapon na ito, maging sa bawat miyembro ng Sangguniang Panlalawigan, ang aming tagapangulo at mga kalihim. Patuloy mo kaming bigyan ng karunungan, katalinuhan sa mga desisyon na higit na makabubuti, maayos sa aming pinapaglingkuran. Amin din pong hinihiling na pagkalooban mo kami ng katatagan, kalakasan, upang pangmuli naming mapagyaman ang aming kaisipan. Ito ang aming mga panalangin sa kapangyarihan ng pangalan ni Jesus na aming Diyos, Panginoon at tagapagligtas. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Before we proceed for the national anthem, I'm relinquishing the chair to give way for the presiding officer, Honorable Vice Governor Adeline M. Angeles.
Thank you, Honorable Mangkukang, for serving as interim presiding officer. The national anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa libing mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiliw, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisingil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mo bakaw, kailan ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal, ang kislat ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nag-iibig, ang bituin ng araw niya kailan papay-patinig, lupa ng araw ng walang pagsinta, ay langit sa ang ligaya ng pagkay mga apit, ang namatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Good Secretary, please call the roll.
Honorable Mark Julius P. Caballas, Honorable Aurelio J. Leva III, Honorable Antonio L. Mangkukang III, Honorable Bernardine Opis Mercado, Honorable Mel Gabal Arencabo, Honorable Mercedes Arihano, Honorable Danilo Arred, Honorable Ismael D. Pilim, Honorable Jose Nerid L. Manggol, Honorable Baldomero L. Limpiada, Honorable Lorena Rosales. Madam Presiding Officer, with the 9 members of the board present, we have the necessary quorum for this afternoon session.
The chair then declares the presence of quorum. Recognizing our floor leader, Honorable Leva.
Thank you very much, Madam Presiding Officer. Madam Presiding Officer, for the reading and adoption of the minutes of the previous session dated September 22, 2023, I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes and consider the same as having been read without prejudice to the manifestation of corrections by the members of the board. I so move.
There's a motion from the floor leader. Any objection? The chair hears none. We can proceed with the corrections directly. Any corrections from the floor? Yes, Honorable Leva.
Madam Presiding Officer, since there's no corrections made by the members of the board, I move that we adopt and approve the minutes of the 55th regular session dated September 22, 2023. I so move.
There's a motion for the adoption of the minutes of our September 22, 2023 session. Any second to the motion? Duly seconded. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The minutes of the September 22, 2023 session is now adopted.
Madam Presiding Officer, we would like to invite members of the board who have some matters arising from the minutes.
Any matters arising from the minutes?
We now go to the approval and amendment of agenda. Madam Presiding Officer, for today's agenda, we don't have privilege speech. We have one question hour. We have invited Attorney Renz Marlon D. Macunat, Public Attorney 1 of the Public Attorney's Office. For the reference of business and first reading, for the messages and correspondence from the Office of the Governor, we have 5 items, I mean. For the communications and petition, we have 1 item. For the municipal ordinances, for the review of the board, we have 2 items. We don't have any proposed ordinance nor proposed resolution. We have 2 committee reports. We don't have any unfinished business for the day, unassigned business. And we don't have proposed ordinance and resolution for third and final reading. Madam Presiding Officer, may I move for the adoption of today's agenda as introduced?
There's a motion for the adoption of today's agenda as it is. Any objection? The chair hears none. The agenda for today's session is hereby adopted, hereby approved.
Madam Presiding Officer, for the question hour, Madam Presiding Officer, we have invited Attorney Renz Marlon D. Macunat, Public Attorney 1 of the Public Attorney's Office, regarding his request for monthly honorarium. And we would like to ask that we recognize Attorney Macunat for the question hour.
Recognizing our partner from the Public Attorney's Office, Attorney Renz Marlon Macunat. Yes, Attorney, the floor is yours. It is our pleasure to have you in today's session. This is not just in relation to the request for an honorarium, which is actually due to you, but at the same time an opportunity for us to know you better and maybe guide us on how we can do service partnership with you better. So you have the floor. You can address the board.
Good afternoon po, Vice Gov, and to the board members po. Ako po si Attorney Renz Marlon D. Macunat, Public Attorney 1 sa Public Attorney's Office po. I recently took the post po last July 2023. Ako po ay tubong Boac from San Miguel po. I graduated po sa Polytechnic University of the Philippines College of Law. And I took my undergrad po sa Marinduque State College. Yun po. I am here po to ask for assistance po sana in our service po to the constituents of Marinduque po. That would be all po.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Macunat. And
Yes po.
bagamat siya ay taga-Boac, alam natin sa mga taga-Mogpog na siya rin ay lahing Mogpog.
Yes po.
Okay. Meron po ba kayong nais iparating sa atin pong panauhin? Yes, Honorable Leva.
Saan po ang jurisdiction mo as public attorney?
Yes po. Ako po ay na talaga po sa Municipal Trial Court of Boac po. MTC Boac po ang aking pong hawak. Pero sa mga clients po is buong Marinduque po ang aming hinahandle.
Okay. Salamat po. Meron pa po bang ibang nais iparating sa ating panauhin? Yes, Honorable Caballes, your panyero.
Good afternoon po. Thank you po, Madam Presiding Officer. And good afternoon po kay Attorney Renz, na batchmate ko po no bar exam. So, wala po congratulate kayo sa bago niyong position. Alam naman natin na challenging dahil sa pinakang kailangan natin sa probinsya yung legal assistance. And
Thank you po.
po natin together with Attorney Chris Andusay and the rest of the local IBP chapter. Malaki po yung matutulong natin. Tapos, yung honorarium po, actually, gaya ng sabi ni Vice Gov po ay, yun po ay entitled naman na po kayo. Parang formality lang naman po yung nagawa namin sa Sangguniang Panlalawigan.
Thank you po.
So, wala po na namin talaga ma-meet at makilala ng Sangguniang Panlalawigan. At sa pakipaabot na lang po yung pasasalamat namin sa Public Attorney's Office ng Marinduque at sa IBP chapter po natin. So, maraming salamat po at good luck. At kung may matutulong man po kami o yung opisina ko, huwag po kayong magadalawang isip magsabi. So, yun lang po.
Thank you po. I would like to add po pala that I previously worked po sa Provincial Legal Office as Public Services Officer for kay Attorney Fernandez po for 6 months po last year. Yun po.
Yan, oo. Dati ng kapartner directly.
Yes,
ano.
po.
Meron pa po ba? Okay, kung wala na po, sabi ko nga po sa inyo, attorney, gusto lang talaga namin kayong makadaupang palad sa aming session formally, bagamat kita ay nagkakakwentuhan din outside the session hall. But officially, on behalf of our constituency, kami ay nagpapasalamat sa iyo for considering Public Attorney's Office
Yes, sir.
and PAW in the province of Marinduque. Kaya maraming salamat for choosing that mission dahil alam naman natin iba ang mission sa Public Attorney's Office. At the same time ay kagaya ng binanggit ni Abocal Caballes, in whatever way that we could be in partnership with PAW, with you, we are just here. At the same time, paminsan-minsan ay hihingi rin kami ng tulong sa inyo, sa PAW.
Yes po.
Lalo na at may mga pagkakataon na meron ding mga legal concerns na nangangailangan ng legal advice. And bagamat meron tayong legal officer, the provincial government is working closely with the different national agencies and partners like the PAW. So, yun lamang with regard to the honorarium that will be very willingly given to you as you deserve it. And yun, we are praying that you will enjoy PAW Marinduque and that we can all together serve our constituency better, especially in the area of justice and yeah. Ganun. Salamat ng marami sa iyo, batang-bata, and it is a pleasure and an honor to know that your pre-law is Marinduque State College.
Yes, ma'am.
That publicly manifests the high quality of education that we have in the province that is competitive to the demand of the times. So it is our honor to have you as one of our partners in PAW and as a member of the bar. Yan. Meron ka pang gustong
Yes po.
banggitin?
Actually po, 3 lawyers po kami from Marinduque State College na pumasa po last time. Ako po si Attorney Neil Rodil. Nag-work din po siya sa Provincial Legal Office, and si Attorney Jess po Asuke.
Oo. You are all blessing to Marinduque. And with that, talagang makikita na mukhang hinog na ang Marinduque State College to be a full-fledged, to be a university. Yes, Honorable Leva.
May we know what is your pre-law course in the Marinduque State College?
Yes po. AB English po ako.
AB English.
Si Attorney Jess po ay AB English din po. Tapos si Attorney Neil po ay Political Science po.
Okay. Galing. So, yun po. Maraming salamat sa iyo. At maybe after this, we'll just move for 2 minutes recess for photo ops with Attorney Makunat. The Chair declares 2 minutes recess.
Madam Presiding Officer, following the Committee of the Whole, the conversion of the body into Committee of the Whole, may I seek further discussion of the subject matter with my colleagues? If we are going now to approve the request of the governor to seek authority from the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, or we're going to further refer it to the Committee of the Rules, Laws, and Ordinances? May we seek the opinion of the members of the board?
Are the members of the board ready to make decisions on the subject matter within this session, or you believe additional information are needed for the body to make informed decision?
Madam Presiding Officer, may I ask that to recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture, Fisheries, and Aquatic Resources for the Joint Committee report of the Joint Committee on of Rules, Laws, and Ordinances and the Agriculture, Fisheries, and Aquatic Resources with regards to the Memorandum of Agreement with the Department of Agriculture regarding recirculating grain dryer stationary type.
Yes, recognizing chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture.
The issue at hand is already referred to the chairman of rules and to the vice chair of Committee of Agriculture, Madam Chairs. And the committee is now ready to render a committee report. Subject is the request for authority to sign and enter into a memorandum of agreement by and between the provincial government of Marinduque and the Department of Agriculture, DA, regarding the recirculating grain dryer stationary type, Madam Chair. So I move, Madam Chair.
So what is the recommendation of the committee, Bokal?
The committee recommends for the approval of a committee report, Madam Chair.
Okay, the recommendation is to give authority.
To give authority to the provincial government to enter into a memorandum of agreement, Madam Chair.
Okay, there is a pending motion from the reporting committee chair for the adoption of the committee report. He rendered favorably recommending the granting of authority to the governor to sign and enter into a MOA with DA regarding the recirculating grain dryer stationary type. Any objection to the adoption of the report? Yes, Honorable Rihano.
Hindi naman po ako sa umo-object. Ang akin lamang po ay for just clarification to the sponsor na yung po bagang grain dryer na yan ay napag-aralan na rin po natin kung paano ang the proper use. Kasi marami na po natin ang grain dryer, most especially na nakalagay po doon sa, I think it is na po, doon yung mga dryer na yun. Yung po baga ay, kasi doon ay mayroong certain na dryer na hindi magamit ng mga maliliit na mga magsasaka, ng mga grain dryer. Yun po ba ay yun sa palay? Mr. What kind of dryer? What
Yes.
kind of grain dryer? Kasi hindi po yung iba pong dryer, most especially yung nandun ngayon sa Napo. At I am nadi-distinguish ko po kasi ako'y naghahanap din ng dryer, most especially if there is yung marami na ang anihan, kapag anihan ay hindi matuyo gawa ng umuulan, gawa ng climate. So, ang sabi nila ay yung pong mga maliliit na mga yan ay hindi po namin na-entertain because it is not yung applicable doon sa quantity noong inyo pong pinapa-dry. Kaya that's why I'm asking you, what is the quality and what is the quantity or yung pong klase ng dryer na yan po baga ay talagang usable dito sa atin sa Marinduque. Na yan ay baka po yan ay usable lang ay sa taga Central Plain of Luzon na marami ang mga ani or whatsoever. Yun lamang po. Hindi po naman ako naayaw, kundi just for clarification that will be useful to the people of Marinduque.
Yes, Madam Chair. I think it will be useful to, especially do sa maliliit nating farmers. Because they will provide naman, Madam Chair, technical know-how. Ito nga po, wala naman po tayong ang nakalagay dito sa Memorandum of Agreement. We will just supply yung power and then the shed ng dryer. And then they will provide us, just like before, Madam Chair, lahat po ng binibigay sa atin na tulong, machineries, the Department of Agriculture, may kasama po silang training para po sa proper use ng dadalhin ditong machine.
Just an additional information. The memorandum of agreement is just a preliminary, but it's not automatic that we are just qualified to be beneficiary. But once there is a memorandum of agreement, one of the obligation of the party is to make a proposal. So if the proposal that will be prepared by the Provincial Agriculture Office is for that, then maybe it is adaptable to the province. Thank you, Honorable Encabo. Any other clarificatory question? So there seems to be none. There is a pending motion from the reporting committee chair. Is there any objection to that? No objection. The motion to adopt the committee report is now approved. Yes,
Okay, Madam
Honorable
Chair.
Encabo.
May I request that it will be transferred to the business for the day?
And likewise, the resolution of authority,
Yes, Madam
to be included in the business for the
Thank
day.
you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Encabo.
Okay, Madam Presiding Officer, may I ask that we recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Environment and Human Ecology for the joint committee report of the Committee on Rules, Laws, and Ordinances and the Committee on Environment and Human Ecology.
Yes, the honorable gentleman from Mogpog is recognized. Honorable Mangkukang.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This memorandum of agreement intends to provide safe, secure containment and storage area for infectious waste that will address the challenges of the improper collection, preliminary disinfection, and storage of personal protective equipment or PPEs, syringe, vials, and other COVID-19 related healthcare waste. And the province of Marinduque has agreed to be a recipient or a beneficiary of a 20-footer container van with a 4.5-ton capacity that will provide preliminary disinfection and storage of healthcare waste. So, Madam Chair, with the indulgence of the Committee on Rules and the Committee on Environmental Protection, the committee favorably endorsing the approval and the adoption of a committee report, vesting authority to the local chief executive to enter into an agreement for the implementation of the aforesaid projects. I so move, Madam Chair.
Okay, there is a pending, yes, Honorable Lim? There is a pending motion from the reporting committee chair for the adoption of the committee report as rendered. Any objection? The chair hears none. The committee report and recommendation as rendered by the chairperson of the Committee on Environment, Honorable Mangkukang, is now adopted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And also the accompanying resolution of authority be transferred under business for the day.
And
Thank you, Madam Chair.
likewise, the accompanying resolution of authority to be also included in the business for the day. Thank you, Honorable Mangkukang.
May this representation be recognized for the joint committee report of the Committee on Rules, Laws, and Ordinances and the Committee on Human Resource, Labor, and Employment.
Yes, Honorable Leva.
Madam Presiding Officer, this has something to do with the request for authority to sign and enter into a memorandum of understanding by and between the Provincial Government of Marinduque and the Professional Regulation Commission. In the memorandum of understanding, both parties will help facilitate the release and issuance of certificate of registration for all professionals currently residing and working in the province of Marinduque through the Livelihood Management, Manpower Development, and Public Employment Service Office. Additionally, both parties will collaborate on conducting awareness campaigns and providing necessary support to professionals in completing the registration requirements. This is a very nice project that will greatly help the professionals in the province of Marinduque, and therefore the committee recommends for the adoption of a resolution granting authority to the governor to enter into a memorandum of understanding by and between the provincial government of Marinduque and the Professional Regulation Commission. The committee prays for the adoption of this committee report.
Thank you, Honorable Leva. Any objection to the adoption of the report as rendered? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The committee report as rendered is adopted.
Madam Presiding Officer, and further recommending that this be transferred to the business for the day portion of today's session.
And also the resolution as embodied in the adopted committee report be included in the business for the day.
Madam Presiding Officer, may this representation be recognized again for the report of the Committee on Rules, Laws, and Ordinances.
Proceed, Honorable Leva.
Madam Presiding Officer, this has something to do with Municipal Ordinance number 287 series of 2023 of the Municipality of Buena Vista, entitled an ordinance amending Section 6 through an additional provision of Municipal Ordinance number 180 series of 2017, entitled an ordinance establishing lactation station in the local government unit of Buena Vista, Marinduque. Lactation station is being required by the DILG and the National Nutrition Council with regards to the installation of a breastfeeding station in the public offices. And therefore, the committee finds that the said ordinance is within the power of the Sangguniang Bayan of Buena Vista to enact. The committee prays for the adoption of this committee report and for the approval of a resolution declaring Municipal Ordinance number 287 series of 2023 as valid and within the power of the Sangguniang Bayan to enact.
Thank you, Honorable Leva. There is a motion for, from the reporting committee chair for the adoption of the committee report as rendered. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved and the committee report as rendered is now adopted.
Further praying, Madam Presiding Officer, that the accompanying resolution be transferred to the business for the day portion of today's session.
Likewise, the recommended resolution will now be transferred in the business for the day.
Madam Presiding Officer, the chairperson of the Committee on Education, Culture, and the Arts be recognized for the joint committee report of the Joint Committee on Rules, Laws, and Ordinances and the Committee on Education, Culture, and the Arts under Committee Report number 237-2023 on proposed Ordinance 16-15.
The gentleman from Santa Cruz, Honorable Red, is recognized.
Committee Report number 237-2023. Joint Committee on Education, Culture, and Arts and Committee on Rules, Laws, and Ordinances. Subject: Proposed Ordinance number 16-15 entitled An Ordinance Declaring the 3rd day and the 5th day of October of every year as the celebration of Retired Teachers' Day and Active Teachers' Day, respectively, in the province of Marinduque, providing funds and the conduct thereof and for other related purposes. In consideration of the proposed ordinance number 16-15 as above titled, which was referred to the herein reporting committee, and after the committee hearing conducted for the purpose, hereby presents its recommendation to this honorable body as follows. Initial recommendations. In Section 5, definition of terms for active teachers, to include teaching-related personnel, whether full-time or part-time, including those in special and technical education. In Section 5B, pre-elementary school are for children 4 years old and below. Number 3, the declaration of Retired Teachers' Day shall be every second Saturday of every December of every year. Number 4, the annual search for outstanding retired teachers shall include but not limited to the following: exemplary community service, active involvement to education-related organization, promotion of education, eldest living teacher, other awards as may be determined by the Provincial Teachers' Day Executive Committee. Number 5, the annual search for outstanding active teachers shall include but not limited to the following: best pre-elementary school teacher, best elementary teacher, best secondary teacher, best tertiary teacher, best ALS teacher, best technical vocational educational teacher, teacher with exemplary achievements, other awards as may be determined by the Provincial Teachers' Day Executive Committee. The Provincial Teachers' Day Executive Committee shall be chaired by the Provincial Governor and the School Division Superintendent or his/her duly authorized representative as member. The ordinance shall include the provision on the Provincial Federation of Retired Teachers' Day, which shall be organized by the provincial government in coordination with the Provincial Office of the Senior Citizens Affairs. The fund for the Retired Teachers' Day celebration shall charge to the Provincial Fund for Senior Citizens, while the fund for the Active Teachers' Day celebration shall be charged to the General Fund. Final recommendation. The Joint Committee favorably recommends for the consideration and approval for second reading of the proposed ordinance number 16-15-135, entitled An Ordinance Declaring the Third Day of October of every year as the Active Teachers' Day and the second Saturday of December of every year as the Retired Teachers' Day in the province of Marinduque, providing funds in the conduct thereof and for other related purposes. Respectively submitted. Aurelio J. Leva III, Chairperson, Committee on Rules and Laws and Ordinances. Danilo R. Red, Chairperson, Committee on Education, Culture and Arts. Mark Julius Caballes, Vice Chairman, Committee on Rules, Laws and Ordinances. Antonio L. Mangkukang III, Vice Chairman, Committee on Education, Culture and Arts. Esmael D. Pilim, Member, Committee on Rules, Laws and Ordinances. Member, Committee on Education, Culture and Arts. Mercedes R. Rejano, Member, Committee on Education, Culture and Arts. Jose Neril Mangol, Member, Committee on Rules, Laws and Ordinances. Bernardine E. Opis Mercado, Member, Committee on Education, Culture and Arts. Baldomero L. Limpiada, Member, Committee on Rules, Laws and Ordinances. Concurred by Adeline M. Angeles, Vice Governor, ex officio. Madam Chair.
Okay. So, what is the pleasure now of the reporting committee chair?
Madam Chair, I formally moves for the adoption of the committee report. Madam Chair.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the committee report? Yes, Honorable Caballes.
Thank you po, Madam Chair. Question lang po para kay Bocaldani. Magkano po yung appropriation na involved?
Madam Chair, nandito po sa ordinance natin, Ito po ay 1 million.
At
Basta
least.
hindi po lalampas siya ng 1 million.
For both po yung
Kasama
combined
na po. Doon sa dalawa na po yun. Bukal.
Not less than.
Maki.
Not less than.
Not more than or not
Not
less?
more than 1 million,
not more
Madam
than.
Chair.
Okay.
Not more than 1 million.
Pero dito po sa draft ay not less than.
Not less than.
Opo. So are you recommending it to be not more than?
Not more than 1 million, Madam Chair.
Okay, so that may be a clarification in the recommendation po.
Okay.
In the original draft, ang nakalagay dito ay not less than 1 million. Under the GAD, the Special Education Fund and other available funds. But in the recommendation of the committee, the not less than 1 million will come from the Senior Citizens Fund and the General Fund. Are you clarified, Honorable Cabales? How much of the 1 million will come from the Senior Citizen Fund?
Oo nga.
Or payag ba or nakonsulta po ba ang mga senior citizen that this will be given that priority fund? Baka mamaya sabihin nila malaking kabawasan dun sa kanilang pondo.
Madam Chair, 200,000 lang po ang napag-usapan natin with Ma'am Miriam.
200,000 will come from the Senior Citizens Fund.
Yes,
That will be used for the retired teachers.
yes.
Okay
Madam
po.
Chair.
Maganda po siguro ma-reflect po yun. Ano ho, kasi dito po ay lump sum po yung 1 million ay. So, any other clarification? So, is the reporting committee chair amenable po? Okay lang po ba sa inyo na ma-reflect po sa rekomendasyon yung the amount will not be more than 1 million instead na not less than? And
Okay lang po.
Okay, and the amount will be 200
From the senior citizen.
coming from the Senior Citizen Fund.
Okay po.
Okay po. Additional clarification, Honorable Cabales?
Wala na po. Thank you po, Madam. Madam Presiding Officer.
Okay, meron pa po bang karagdagang tanong? Kung wala na po, there is a pending motion from the reporting committee chair. Any objection to the motion of Honorable Danny Red for the adoption of the committee report this time as amended? Ano po? So, any objection? The chair hears none. Thus, the committee the motion of Honorable Red is approved. The committee report rendered is now adopted as amended.
Madam Chair,
Opo.
ordinance be transferred for the business of the day in today's session. Madam Chair.
Para po sa second reading.
Yes, Madam Chair. For the second
Okay.
reading.
Okay, there is a motion also for the particular ordinance to be considered in the business for the day for second reading.
The presiding officer,
Yes.
I am the author of the said ordinance, but there are some pleadings from the secretariat that there are some amendments to be made to the original draft ordinance because of the recommendation of the committee.
So,
So, if
aayusin muna
if
nila.
the good sponsor will allow that this be tackled next session.
Okay lang po ba sa reporting committee chair? It
Okay
will
lang
just
po.
be calendared in the business for the day for second reading in the next session
Okay, Madam.
para ma-integrate na po yung corrections ng secretariat natin.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Okay, salamat po. So this the ordinance will be the proposed ordinance will be considered and calendared in the next session for second reading.
Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Leva.
Madam Presiding Officer, before we continue, may I seek reconsideration because during the question hour, we have invited Attorney Renz Marlon D. Makunat regarding his request for monthly honorarium. May we consider his request in the unassigned business.
Thank you. There is a request for reconsideration from the Chair of the Committee on Rules for inclusion of that subject matter in the unassigned business. Any objection? The Chair hears none. The motion is approved. The subject matter on the requested honorarium of Attorney Macunat will now be considered in the unassigned business.
Madam Presiding Officer, may I ask that we recognize the Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriation for its committee report.
Honorable Caballes.
Madam Presiding Officer, Committee Report number 238-2023 of the Committee on Appropriations. The reporting committee to which was referred various referrals is now ready to submit its comments and recommendations to the Sangguniang Panlalawigan and Bank that were adduced from the hearing conducted on September 28, 2023 with the Provincial Budget Officer, with the chiefs and representatives from concerned offices requesting supplemental appropriations as resource persons. There were 11 referrals that were calendared in the hearing and could be summarized into 7 requests for supplemental appropriations from various offices of the provincial government, 2 requests for the creation of account and appropriating funds thereof, 2 review of appropriation ordinances from component municipalities. Therefore, to facilitate the rendition of the report, recommendations will be rendered as categorized above. Letter A, request for supplemental appropriation. The number 1, the 870,000 pesos for various MOE accounts in the Provincial Treasurer's Office. The 2 million intended for the purchase of service vehicle for official use of the Provincial Nutrition Office. The 368,100 pesos to be used in the establishment of multi-species bamboo nursery and plantation for the province of Marinduque. The 300,000 intended for various MOE accounts under the PPDO. The 155,300 pesos for various MOE and capital outlay accounts under the Provincial Warden's Office. The 520,000 for the MOE account under the Provincial Governor's Office intended for the 2023 Local Legislative Awards and Prizes to the Provincial Councilors League in accordance with the DILGMC number 2023-092 and the 845,000 pesos for various MOE accounts under the Office of the Provincial Veterinary. The PBO posed an objection for the approval of the request for supplemental appropriations provided it will depend upon the availability of funding sources. However, the request for appropriation amounted to 368,100 pesos to be used in the establishment of a multi-species bamboo nursery and plantation for the province of Marinduque was laid on the table since it was among the priority projects that will be funded in the 20% Development Fund for 2024 and the implementing agency is the PGNRO. Therefore, the committee hereby recommends for the adoption of the following. Number 1, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 870,000 pesos for various MOE accounts under the Provincial Treasurer's Office, subject to availability of funding sources. Number 2, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 2 million pesos for the purchase of service vehicle for official use of the Provincial Nutrition Office, subject to the availability of funding sources. Number 3, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 300,000 pesos intended for various MOE and capital outlay accounts under the PPDO, subject to availability of funding sources. Number 4, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 155,300 pesos for various MOE and capital outlay accounts under the Provincial Warden's Office, subject to availability of funding sources. Number 5, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 520,000 pesos for various MOE accounts under the Provincial Governor's Office intended for the Provincial Councilors League activities, subject to availability of funding sources. And number 6, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 845,000 pesos for various MOE accounts under the Office of the Provincial Veterinary, subject to availability of funding sources. Letter B, request for creation of account and appropriating funds. Therefore, recommendation from the PGSO for the creation of the insurance expense account to cover the insurance of dairy goats with corresponding appropriations of 600,000 pesos under the Provincial Agriculture Office. And number 2, the request for the provincial accountant and the members of the Local Finance Committee for the creation of a special health fund and depository account to the Land Bank of the Philippines. A special health fund in compliance with COA Circular number 2023-003 dated June 14, 2023. According to PBO, regarding the creation of the insurance account, the insurance expense account must be created under the PGSO because the dairy goats will be considered as property of the provincial government. provided the monthly monitoring report regarding on the condition of said livestock will be done by the Provincial Agriculture Office. On the other hand, PGS already has an existing insurance expense account specifically intended for the purpose, so she proposed to amend the request and instead make it a request for an additional appropriation in the amount of 600,000 pesos. Regarding the creation of a special health fund and depository account, it is in compliance with COA Circular Number 2023-003, and all funds intended for the implementation of the UHC shall be coursed through the SHF. The provincial governor and the provincial treasurer shall be the official signatories to the account. Therefore, the committee hereby recommends the following. The adoption of the following. Number 1, a resolution appropriating the amount of 600,000 pesos for the insurance expense account under the PGSO intended to cover the insurance of dairy goats subject to availability of funding sources, provided that the provincial agriculture officials submit a monthly monitoring report to the PGS on the status of these livestock. Number 2, a resolution providing for the creation of a special health fund and depository account to the Land Bank of the Philippines under Special Health Fund, compliance to COA Circular Number 2023-003 dated June 14, 2023. Letter C, review of appropriation ordinances from the component municipalities. Appropriation Ordinance Number 1 Series of 2023 of Benavista and Appropriation Ordinance Number 1 Series of 2023 of Torrijos were submitted to the SP for appropriate review as mandated by Section 56 of the LGC. The said ordinances were referred with the committee to the Provincial Budget Office for their technical review and necessary recommendations as provided for in Section 56 of the same code. And with no adverse findings and favorable recommendation from the PBO, the committee hereby recommends for the adoption of the following resolutions. Number one resolution declaring appropriation ordinance number 1, series of 2023 authorizing the CY 2023 General Fund Supplemental Budget number 1 of the Municipality of Benavista, Marinduque as operative, subject to the conditions, comments, and findings of the Provincial Budget Officer. Number 2, a resolution declaring appropriation ordinance number 1, series of 2022 authorizing CY 2022 Supplemental Budget number 1 of the Municipality of Torrijos, Marinduque as operative, subject to the conditions, comments, and findings of the Provincial Budget Officer. Respectfully submitted in the Committee on Appropriations and the Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Honorable Caballes. Any other clarificatory questions? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the reporting committee chair?
The Presiding Officer, I move for the adoption of Committee Report number 238-2023.
There is a motion from the reporting committee chair for the adoption of committee report number 238-2023 of the Committee on Appropriation. Any objection? Any question? No objection.
The Presiding Officer, I further move that the accompanying resolutions to the said committee report be transferred to business for the day.
No objection. The committee report as rendered number 238-2023 is now adopted, and the corresponding resolutions embodied in the adopted committee report are now will all be considered in the business for the day. Thank you, Honorable Caballes.
Thank you po.
Madam Presiding Officer, that concludes our committee report. We now go to the calendar of business.
Yes, Honorable Leva.
We now go to the business for the day. The first item in the business for the day is the accompanying resolution of the Committee on Environment and Human Ecology. May I ask that we recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Environment and Human Ecology.
Yes, Honorable Mangkukang.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee on the Joint Committee on Rules and Environmental Protection and Human Ecology formally moves for the passage of a resolution vesting authority to enter into a memorandum of agreement between the provincial government of Marinduque as represented by its governor, Honorable Presbyter J. Velasco Jr., and the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Environmental Management Bureau, Region 4B, as represented by its Regional Director, Joe Amiel M. Salino, regarding with the installation of Preliminary Disinfection and Storage Facility, or PDSF, in Marinduque Provincial Hospital, as agreed to be beneficiary of a 20-footer container van with a 4.5-ton capacity which would improve the collection of COVID-19 related healthcare waste and storage area for infectious waste. I so move, Madam Chair.
I second.
There is a pending motion from the reporting committee chair for the adoption of the committee report as rendered. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The committee report as rendered by the chairperson of the Committee on Environment is now adopted. Okay, there's a pending motion for the adoption of the committee, for the adoption of a resolution granting authority to the Honorable Governor Presbitero Velasco Jr. to sign and enter into a memorandum of agreement by and between the provincial government of Marinduque and the Department of Environment and Natural Resources for the installation of preliminary disinfection and storage facility in Marinduque Provincial Hospital. Any second to the motion? Duly seconded by Honorable Rejano, Honorable Leva, Honorable Lim, Honorable Red. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The resolution granting authority to the Honorable Governor is now adopted.
Madam Presiding Officer, may I ask to recognize the Chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture, Fisheries, and Aquatic Resources for the accompanying report of its accompanying resolution of its committee report.
Before that, maybe ang kasunod naman na titingnan dito, maganda na meron na tayong preliminary disinfection and storage facility. Ang tanong naman dito, saan ito itatapon, no? So, at least nag-gather na sila at mas ma-identify na, pero something that must be reflected on is how it will be handled after. Yes, Honorable Encabo.
Maraming salamat po, Madam Chair. The Joint Committee of Rules and Committee of Agriculture move for the adoption of a resolution giving authority to Governor Presbitero Velasco to sign and enter into a memorandum of agreement by and between the provincial government of Marinduque and the Department of Agriculture, DA, regarding the recirculating grain dryer, stationary type. So I move, Madam Chair.
Any second to the motion by Honorable Encabo? Duly seconded by Honorable Mangkukang, Honorable Limpiada, Honorable Lim, Honorable Leva. Any objection? The chair hears none. Thus, the motion is approved. The resolution granting authority to the Honorable Governor Presbitero Velasco to sign and enter into a memorandum of agreement by and between the provincial government of Marinduque and the Department of Agriculture regarding the recirculating grain dryer stationary type is now adopted.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Presiding Officer, may this representation be recognized?
Proceed, Honorable Leva.
The Committee on Rules, Laws, and Ordinances and the Committee on Labor, Human Resource, Labor, and Employment formally moves for the adoption of a resolution granting authority to Governor Presbitero J. Velasco Jr. to enter into a memorandum of agreement, memorandum of understanding between the provincial government of Marinduque and the Professional Regulation Commission represented by its regional director, Dr. Reynaldo D. Agkawili, regarding the release and issuance of certificate of registration for all professionals currently residing and working in the province of Marinduque through the LMDPSO. I so move.
Is there any second to the motion? Duly seconded by Honorable Rosales, Honorable Encabo, Honorable Mangkukang. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The resolution granting authority to the Honorable Governor Presbitero Velasco Jr. to sign and enter into a memorandum of understanding by and between the provincial government of Marinduque and Professional Regulation Commission is now approved.
Madam Presiding Officer, may this representation be recognized again for the adoption of a resolution?
Proceed, Honorable Leva.
Madam Presiding Officer, may I move for the adoption of a resolution declaring Municipal Ordinance Number 287 Series of 2023 of the Municipality of Buena Vista entitled an Ordinance amending Section 6 through an additional provision of Municipal Ordinance Number 180 Series of 2017 entitled an ordinance establishing lactation station in the local government unit of Buena Vista as valid and within the power of the Sangguniang Bayan to enact. I so move.
There is a motion from Honorable Leva for the adoption of resolution number, is there any second to the motion of Honorable Leva? Duly seconded by Honorable Manggol, Honorable Rehano, Honorable Lim. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The resolution declaring Municipal Ordinance number 287, series of 2023 of the Municipality of Buena Vista entitled an ordinance amending section 6 through an additional provision of Municipal Ordinance number 180, series of 2017, an ordinance establishing lactation station in the local government unit of Buena Vista, Marinduque, is now declared to be valid and within the authority of the said Sanggunian to enact.
May I ask that we recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Appropriation for the accompanying resolution of its committee report.
Yes, Honorable Caballes, with regard to the resolutions favorably endorsed in your committee report.
Would like to move for the adoption of the following resolutions. Number 1, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 870,000 pesos for various MOE accounts under the Provincial Treasurer's Office, subject to availability of funds. Number 2, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 2 million for the purchase of service vehicles for official use of the Provincial Nutrition Office, subject to availability of funding sources. Number 3, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 300,000 pesos intended for various MOE and capital outlay accounts under the PPDO, subject to availability of funding sources. Number 4, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 155,300 pesos for various MOE and capital outlay accounts under the Provincial Warden's Office, subject to availability of funding sources. Number 5, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 520,000 pesos for various MOE accounts under the Provincial Governor's Office intended for the Provincial Councilors League activities, subject to availability of funding sources. Number 6, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 845,000 pesos for various MOE accounts under the Office of the Provincial Veterinary, subject to availability of funding sources. Madam Presiding Officer.
Is there any second to the motion for the approval of the resolution for the supplemental appropriations in those various offices? Duly seconded by Honorable Manggol, Honorable Danny Red, Honorable Buchi Rosales, Honorable Leva. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The resolution approving supplemental appropriations of 870,000 for Provincial Treasurer's Office, 2 million for PNO, 368,100 for the multi-species bamboo nursery plantation, 300 for PPDO, 155,300 pesos for the Provincial Warden Office, 520,000 for the 520,000 pesos for the Provincial Governor for the Legislative Awards, and 845,000 pesos for the Office of the Provincial Veterinary is now approved.
The presiding officer would also like to move for the adoption of the following resolutions. Number 1, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 600,000 pesos for the insurance expense account under the PGSO intended to cover the insurance of dairy goats, subject to availability of funding sources, provided that the Provincial Agriculture Office shall submit a monthly monitoring report to the PGSO on the status of the livestock. And number 2, a resolution providing for the creation of a special health fund and depository account to the Land Bank of the Philippines under Special Health Fund in compliance to COA Circular 2023-003 dated June 14, 2023.
There is a pending motion from the chairperson of the Committee on Appropriation. Any second to that motion? Duly seconded by Honorable Red, Honorable Rehano, Honorable Rosales, Honorable Leva. Any objection? The chair hears none. Thus, the motion is approved. The resolution approving appropriation of 600,000 pesos for PGSO and the
Special-
creation of a special health fund and depository account to the Land Bank of the Philippines under the Special Health Fund in compliance to COA Circular 2023-003 dated June 14, 2023 is now approved.
Madam Presiding Officer, I again move for the adoption of the following resolutions. Number 1, a resolution declaring appropriation ordinance number 1, series of 2023 authorizing CY 2023 General Fund supplemental budget number 1 of the Municipality of Buenavista, Marinduque as operative, subject to the conditions, comments, and findings of the Provincial Budget Officer. And number 2, a resolution declaring appropriation ordinance number 1, series of 2022 authorizing the CY 2022 supplemental budget number 1 of the Municipality of Torrejos, Marinduque as operative, subject to the conditions, comments, and findings of the Provincial Budget Officer.
Any second to the motion of Honorable Caballes? Duly seconded by Honorable Encabo, Honorable Rejano, Honorable Buchi Rosales. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The resolution declaring appropriation ordinance number 1 series of 2023 embodying supplemental budget number 1 of the Municipality of Buenavista and appropriation ordinance number 1 series of 2022 embodying supplemental budget number 1 of the Municipality of Torrijos as operative and within the authority of the said LGU to enact is now approved, subject to the findings and recommendations of the Provincial Budget Office.
Thank you po, Madam Presiding Officer.
How about the other appropriation? Thank you, Honorable Caballes.
Thank you po.
Madam Presiding Officer, that closes our business for today, in today's session. For the unassigned business, may we again recognize the gentleman from Boac.
Honorable Caballes.
Madam Presiding Officer, I move for the adoption of a resolution authorizing the grant of honorarium to Attorney Renz Marlon D. Macunat, Public Attorney 1.
How about the appropriation of funds? Is there an appropriation already for that
Meron.
purpose?
Naka-earmark na po talaga, Madam Presiding Officer.
Enough yung kanilang funds?
Opo, yung authority lang po talaga.
Okay. There is a pending motion from Honorable Caballes for the adoption of a resolution approving the granting of honorarium to Attorney Renz Macunat. Any second to the motion? Duly seconded by Honorable Manggol and Honorable Limpiada. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The resolution approving the granting of honorarium to Attorney Renz Macunat in accordance to existing guidelines and policies is now approved.
Thank you.
We now go, that closes our unassigned business. We don't have any proposed ordinance or resolution for third and final reading.
Yes, Honorable Leva? There being no other matters to discuss, the next session will be on Friday, October 6. That will be our first session. So everybody is being reminded to be in Filipiniana and Barong. Nalilimutan ng iba. There being no other matters to discuss, the chair declares an adjournment.